When you think about your content strategy, I know that you can't just snap a few pictures or shoot a few video clips, post it on Instagram and call it a day and hope that you're going to scale your brand. Like, we just know that in 2025, the marketing landscape is different and people consume content in so many places and in so many different ways. And for your brand to really stand out and scale, you need to be positioning your brand in a way that solves your ideal customer's needs, right? So one platform that I personally really love and I know has so much potential for product businesses is Pinterest. I am not a product or a Pinterest expert. I'm not a Pinterest expert, but I know somebody that is. And I've learned everything that I know about Pinterest from Meagan Williamson. I'm so excited to have her on today to talk about how you can really leverage the Pinterest platform to your advantage, how you can create a content strategy that works for you. That's ultimately the goal, to not have to constantly be on this content hamster wheel, to create content that will have legs long after you've posted it, right? That's the goal. So if you're not familiar with Meagan, she's a Pinterest marketing expert, and she's dedicated to helping businesses achieve sustainable growth with proven Pinterest strategies. She is really focused on simplifying your marketing and really amplifying your message and creating marketing content that builds strategies that scale over time and deliver meaningful results. And that's what we ultimately want. So I loved this conversation. I always learn something when I talk to her. She just gives so much value in everything that she shares. So I hope that you grab a pencil, grab a pen, whatever you like to write with, and tune in. It's a really chat. So let's get into it. Hey friend, quick question for you. Are you feeling stuck with how to get your brand to stand out on Faire? I'm asking you because as a buyer myself, I can tell you that there are just so many brands out there vying for the attention of these buyers, but I know that your brand has something so special and it needs to be seen. I put together a private podcast for you that goes deeper into what buyers are really looking for on the Faire platform and how you can stand out from the crowd to grow your wholesale business and really land those dream buyers. So if this resonates with you, head to the link in the show notes for instant access. Meagan, I'm so excited to have you here. Thanks for coming on the Buyer Side Chat.
Oh, you're so welcome, Kristin. I've been looking forward to this.
Me too. So just quickly introduce yourself and let people know a little bit about what you do so that we can just kind of get right into it.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Meagan Williamson. I'm a Pinterest marketing expert and educator. Sometimes I have a really hard time landing on what to call myself. I'm sure everyone's always it's like, what is the best way to describe what I do? But really, I am a consultant, an educator, and I've been in the Pinterest marketing space so long that I think I can call myself an expert. So I assist small business owners, brands, even creators with how to leverage and grow their online audiences using one of my favorite platforms, Pinterest. But of course, that leaks into all different parts of content marketing and social media. And so I really just love all things growth marketing for business owners.
I mean, that's perfectly said. It is really hard to figure out what to call those of us that are like, I'm not a coach. I create content to help you learn how to do something, but I also am a strategist. Like, having gone through your course, which we'll talk about, I like all the things that you use to describe yourself. I'm like, yep, she is all of those things.
And I did leave out business coach. Funny enough, I always felt like I was a coach, but felt uncomfortable calling myself a coach. Yeah. So I did the totally irrational thing that I went out and got a coaching certification so that if I wanted to call myself a business coach, I had the piece of paper to back it up. So I am also a business coach, but all these things sort of run into each other, right? Like, I think to be a good educator and to be an expert in any platform or in any area of online business, you really need to understand the strategy. To be a good business coach, you need to understand all the other things. It's all related.
It's a lot of things because, when you work with someone, let's use Pinterest obviously as an example. Like, when you work with someone on their Pinterest strategy, it's not just about Pinterest. It usually ties into okay, what's going on the back end? What are your business goals? How are you really utilizing the platform? And then where are the mental roadblocks? Why are you not able to get out of your own way? It's so much more than just, let me show you how to grow on Pinterest. It is like far beyond.
Yeah. And that's just it, that I think like most marketing and social media platforms or channels are related to the entire system, but Pinterest in particular is so interconnected. Oh, better your dog than my dog. Well, the delivery has been sent. That's okay, right?
I knew he was going to bark. I knew he was going to bark. We maybe we'll just leave that in for real life over here.
It will be like an Easter egg.
Yeah, this is life. Wait for Tucker to bark. So, but it's so true. It's like I think that Pinterest has such a unique way of kind of tying in all the different platforms, and it's something that has just really withstood the test of time. And I'm curious,
right?
Yeah, you've been, you said, is it over 10 years?
Yeah, over 10 years. I was like an early adopter. Now, at that time, I was a blogger, but since then, I've helped lots of product-based businesses, brands, and so much has changed. Yet, in a funny way, Kristin, like nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, if anything, Pinterest is like returning to its roots, and people are like, I don't know. It's so odd to me that people aren't using Pinterest, especially when we see things come and go. And Pinterest has been a search engine from the beginning. It has been like, I don't know, just a different platform as a business owner. And it's why, like, even if I do get interested, I'm like anyone else. I get interested in like the shiny thing, or it's like, ooh, this new thing. It's like Pinterest never goes anywhere. It's always there. It's always humming away. Yes, it has gone through some different iterations of like adding in more video. But the reality is when they make changes or updates, which some people don't love, they're growing with their audience. They're not making dramatic changes. Like, remember when Instagram announced like they were going towards more video, and like it had always been literally in the like Apple store, wasn't it like an image sharing app? Like that's what it used to be called.
Yep. And the uproar of now we have to do video, and now it's like everything goes through iterations. But I do think it's interesting that Pinterest hasn't really foundationally changed much,
and the technology hasn't changed. Like the technology is obviously more advanced, but like the core root technology has always been discovery based. Like that algorithm is a discovery algorithm, and it's always been that. Whereas TikTok started as an entertainment platform and started to go after some of this like discovery search, which is why some people have like, just gone bonkers overnight on the platform, or that people use it as a search engine. But the advantage Pinterest has as a business tool or a marketing tool is that it's been that since day one. So from the early days. And like I've watched it go, I've watched all the different trends and different things come and go and get reinvented. Whereas like Pinterest is through and through, been there, and it doesn't try to be things that it's not.
So when you think about everybody listening to this sells products, so they either make their product and sell it, or they buy it from a maker and then resell it. When you really think about it, Pinterest is an absolute no-brainer platform for a product business because it's search and discovery. So people are looking for the thing, and it's how you just position your product. I'm curious from your perspective, like I personally think that product brands have a big advantage and a big leg up on a platform like Pinterest, but I'm curious your thoughts of how that platform has evolved and how it can really serve product brands.
Well, some of the really exciting, like the evolution of Pinterest is, and this is very relevant to product-based businesses, is the evolution of it being an active marketplace. So in the last few years, they have dedicated huge amounts of resources to really making it an active marketplace where users can shop. So in the early days, people might remember that you might find something on the platform, like maybe even like an inspiration shot of like a living room or a fashion beauty person who's like showing off those products. But sometimes it'd be a dead link, or you couldn't find, well, what's the name of that jacket? Or what's the name of that sofa? I have my own story where we were moving and I really wanted this particular couch. I was obsessed with this couch. And it was at a time where we didn't have like the lens. We couldn't look things up. And every time I found it on Pinterest, it was all over Pinterest, but none of it linked to the actual product. And I could never find it. And this was like a disconnect in the buyer's journey that Pinterest recognized ages ago. So they have made it an embedded shopping experience where people can identify either the actual product in the photos or videos that you're seeing as an end user of the platform, or it will show you visually similar. So if it's just like an inspiration pic that like an influencer took of their kitchen, but the things aren't labeled, Pinterest will actually visually identify what is featured. And they can even do it for collages. So this makes, from being a regular person, a regular pinner using Pinterest, who's like, I'm looking to revamp my bathroom. I'm looking to design a playroom. I'm going on a trip. What's my capsule wardrobe going to be? You can identify those products really easily, and it shortens that buyer journey. It's removing that friction. And I think there has been some people who aren't in the product-based space have been sort of annoyed by some of the movement towards products being featured, products being sort of like very at the forefront. But Pinterest knows, like, to be able to sustain their social media platform or their marketing platform, they have to make it a frictionless, easy platform to use as a user. So if you are a product-based business, being able to upload your catalog and have your products floating around, and you mentioned something that having your products listed on Pinterest, people are literally, just like they are in Google, they have the buyers or the customer intent to find products, to find solutions to whatever they're looking for. Whether it be that it starts out sort of top of funnel, like inspirational, like the best story for that or example would be to think of a bride, right? Like when that bride gets engaged, they're not necessarily right away pinning the brand name of the products they want, but they're pinning the inspiration images. They're pinning what they imagine the tables to look like. They're pinning images of gorgeous hair accessories that they want to wear, or a veil. I just did a one-on-one call with a bridal accessory company who sells very unique handmade hair accessories and veils. And they were saying, like, the first place that brides and then people from the bridal party, the mother of the bride, your bestie, you're going on and you're looking and you're sharing it with them, right? Like, just, I know when I got married, I remember finding pictures, sending them to my sister. What do you think of this dress? What do you think of like these shoes? Okay, we want a color palette like this. So it really lends to product-based businesses because you can hand deliver up your products that you are selling direct to the customer by inserting yourself in that journey when they're planning, when they're going back and curating, and they're ready to make choices and decide who they want to buy from.
I think that's like the perfect example that really made me just think back to like, oh, I kind of want to plan a wedding again. I don't really want to. I don't really want to, but
the biggest, that is the biggest party of your life. That's what someone once said to me.
Yes, it's the biggest party of your life. And it's so much fun. I had so much fun planning it and all the Pinterest boards like that. You know, that's when I like really was like really into Pinterest on the user end. And now it's like house, you know, inspiration and things like that. So, you know, when you think about how you can insert your product into the user journey, especially for somebody that's maybe at a top of funnel, meaning for those that aren't really sure what a funnel is, like top of funnel meaning they are just like starting to plan their wedding, right?
Yeah.
And
they haven't stages,
haven't gotten to the point yet where they're ready to actually buy the hair accessory. They're just looking at hairstyles maybe. So when you think about like how you can position your product without constantly just selling a single image of a product, do you have any recommendations on creating a content strategy that lends itself really nicely to Pinterest to meet people at different stages in their journey through the funnel?
The strongest physical product businesses and brands that I see that sell to consumers, without a doubt, they are deeply rooted in a very strong, holistic, helpful and valuable content marketing strategy. So what that looks like when you're selling products is that it's not, like you said, just saying, here's my lip gloss, buy my lip gloss. It makes your lips look good, right? Like, okay, fine. Like they all do that. But it's really talking about all the adding value to the conversation, telling us what makes your products unique, how to style them, how to wear them. I was just actually doing a call with a custom furniture designer. And like, without a doubt, just looking at the pictures, like as somebody who has furniture in their home, I can tell like mass produced stuff, like the grooves don't fit as well. The wood looks like probably is fake. Whereas I could see from the pictures, like the wood, it was real wood, it was hardwood, the grain was gorgeous, the colors, it was just like lush. And we were talking about like, as it's more expensive because they're handmade, they're super high quality. These are things like you buy and you will pass these on to your children. This is not going to end up in a landfill. It's not like, no offense to IKEA, but it's not like IKEA where it all ends up on Facebook Marketplace. It's not like disposable or filling up our landfill. And so we talked about like, well, what makes it unique, right? Like really talking about what goes into making the product. How are the products sourced? What are those finishing touches that make this investment the right investment? And so focusing on high quality content that's valuable. I think that Pinterest, we often think about educational content. Pinners want context. They want you to meet them where they are at. So just in some cases, just saying like, here's the product, do you want it? Here it is. Okay, fine. You do need those, but they aren't going to really lend to growth on the platform when you are able to bring people into the journey and really make them remember your product. Why is it unique? What makes it different? How do we use it? And answer the questions that your ideal customer has. I think so many times that as product-based businesses, one thing they struggle with, and I feel like I can say this with love, is that you started a business because you love that thing or you have a deep level of expertise in that product or that range of products. But the problem is that you're so inside the business, you forget what it's like to be a buyer of that thing. So they have very simple questions. They want to know how to hold the product. They want to know how to get the most out of it. There was this product-based business on TikTok that caught my attention when they went viral. I have to say, I don't think they were doing that well or very exceptional before they went viral. And it would be because like, hi, we sell handmade soaps, bars of soap that can replace your dish soap, liquid dish soap. So if you're kind of into being more non-toxic or you're looking to reduce your consumption, there's this idea that bars of soap are better for the environment, they last longer, but a lot of people don't know how to use them. So somebody asked her that, the owner of the company, and she was like, because they were like, well, I kind of feel like there's this conception that with liquid dish soap, it suds up. And it's this perception that that's better at cleaning. And she literally was like, oh, let me show you. And she created this like very short video and it was very informational based. She showed her product, put it in her hand, got this like little brush, added a little bit of water and like soaped up, showed how quickly like suds were created. And then she washed a plate. She literally sold $100,000 within a few days because she answered a question that a curious customer had. And to her, she's like so deep in the eco-friendly home that she's like, well, doesn't everyone know how these work? And like that honestly, as someone who even like, I feel like I know a lot about those things. It was something that went through my head. Like, will it clean the plates? How much soap, like how many suds do I need? So this piece of content is the type of content that does very well on Pinterest. People want to have sort of more lifestyle-based content that's educational or inspirational. So it can even be like, when I say inspirational, if you sell glasses, reading glasses, it's like people want to know, well, how do I pick if I got glasses for the first time last April. So we're coming up soon on a year. And like when I went in, I didn't know, should I wear round? Should I wear cat eye? Should I wear square? Like, I'm not even saying the right terms. But I had somebody there who was like, oh, I think based on your shape of your face, this would be great. That would be a piece of content that could go on Pinterest, like how to pick up the right pair of, the shape of your glasses. or based on your needs. So you're meeting them where they're at. You're answering a problem that they have, or, I know this is people, it's sort of cliche, but people are like, oh, don't talk about pain points. I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, when you know your audience very intimately, you understand what they're struggling with and how your product solves that problem.
Well,
right?
And there's a difference between talking about pain points and having it be negative and like honing in on a pain point and your messaging being like, are you always struggling with this? Versus this is a pain point, meaning I don't know how to make this bar of soap actually clean the same way that my normal toxic liquid soap does.
Yeah.
That is a pain point. And so simply showing it addresses a pain point without focusing on perhaps a negative
100%
on it. So it's,
and
really
I think that's just it, right? There is,
more.
but ultimately, like our audiences, they have pain points or things they're struggling with, and they are seeking to
make it better,
to alleviate that. I have to say, like, I'm on this like kick right now where I'm trying to eat more protein. And I went to the grocery store and I've heard about like pancakes and flour that have more protein in them. And I was looking at the protein pancake mix. Literally, it was 10 times more expensive than the regular pancake mix. And what went through my head was, that's really expensive, but it saves me time. I don't have to think about how to make it myself. And it's going to be good for me because I'm always in a rush and I never quite have time, but it solves the problem that then I'm infusing more protein into my breakfast without having to spend an hour grinding up my own oatmeal, adding in it's great for when I'm in a pinch. So right away I was like, that's so smart, right? Like it's so much more expensive, but like they are solving a significant problem. And that's like a lot of things, right? We want to save time. We want to reduce the stress. We want to make things easy. We want to remove friction. Like we know this. Our buyers often have the same patterns of things they're struggling with. And it's our job as, a business to rise to the occasion and be like, this is how I can help you. This is a problem you have. This is the solution I have. And sometimes you have to do that through creative marketing and really focusing on content that is helpful, that shows them and answers the biggest questions they have. I have this amazing story where I worked for a paint company. This was in the early days of running my work. And I actually took on like a marketing sort of director role with them. And what was really interesting is they did really well creating content where they would just go live and talk to their folks, answer questions. But what I started realizing is when I looked across all their channels, they had Facebook groups, they had email, they had customer emails, they had social media channels. The same questions came in over and over and over again. So I said, we should be taking those questions and turning them into long form content. So we would write a blog post about, the particular question, answering the question, providing all the information. And then we would embed a video at the bottom that, included the answer. So people who like video could watch the video, people who like to read could read. And then we created social media content. And like that type of content was incredible for discovery, because what we found was people who had never heard of the company before, all of a sudden were finding a blog post because it was something to do with a tool that's related to the industry. And people were like, this was so helpful. I've never heard of you before. I started using the product and now I love it. And we like dominated. We dominated social media. We dominated the blog scene. Like the company, I think quadrupled. And it's in a year by just focusing on these are things that the customers have problems with. So instead of writing a blog post about the latest launch of color range, which nobody wants to read that, no offense, but it's not valuable, it's not helpful. Like some people, that are like lifelong, are excited about the new colors. I think there's a different way that you could talk about a new a new color line or whatever. But it was just like the blog was just filled with, we're excited to announce our spring colors have been released. We're excited to announce that we've restocked X, Y, and Z. Whereas we went towards like, what do our customers need? What are the customers that don't know us yet? What are they asking? And let's answer those questions. And like they went viral on Pinterest. Their Instagram quadrupled in following and engagement. Their website traffic went bonkers, and it's all connected.
I love that. I think I love that you shared that. This is something I wanted to ask you. And so you like led perfectly into it. So thank you. But it's so interesting to think about how your content off the platform, like something like a blog where so many people feel like, oh, blogs are dead. Well, they're really not, because people are still searching for things. So blogs have just evolved. It's like people might not necessarily be looking for a blog, but they're looking for an answer to their problem. Yes. And so thinking about your blog in terms of the way that your customer is trying to solve the problem that your product can serve to them is interesting. And I love how you shared that you embedded a video in there because of different ways of people absorbing information, because some people love to read.
Yeah.
Some people love to watch a video with captions.
Yeah.
Some people like to search on for images on Pinterest. Like, there's so many different ways people learn. Do you think that the actual content on Pinterest has changed a lot, or do people still like to just see a straight up pin? Like, what's the mix of video to
that's a really good question. So we've seen all social media platform users move towards wanting to watch video, and Pinterest is no different. I do think Pinterest was slower for adoption of video, mostly because of the business and creative creator base. They were just hesitant. It was always the land where we didn't have video. And a lot of people resisted short form video. But we have seen that people who are having incredible success are using a really beautiful, thoughtful mix of video and static. So I always teach that we use video for visibility and discoverability. We use images to convert. So really using both. And I want to encourage product-based businesses, because sometimes they'll just add like a plain image, no text overlay. So I really want to encourage people to use a mixture. And when I say that, use video drives visibility, and it also creates desire and shows people, sort of educates people about your product, or allows them to see your product in 3D, right? Experience it from the comfort of their home. Images, we want to look at using plain images, but also what we call Pinterest Pinterest text overlay images, or Pinterest graphics. And using a mix allows you to widen your net and reach the widest group possible. Pinterest, the way that the technology works is it scans your images and it scans the cover of your video. And so by adding text overlay on your video, but also on some of your pins, you're adding context and information so that when Pinterest crawls it, it understands who it's relevant to and who to show it to. And that's why I just want, like you were talking earlier about sort of like people, blogs, and the value of blogs and people discovering you. So I'm always really clear when I'm talking about Pinterest as Pinterest doesn't work alone. We have to use these other things. That's come through in some of the thoughts I've shared. But also, as a business owner, you need different types of marketing to move different levers. So things like Google traffic and Pinterest are amazing for discovery, right? That it allows new potential customers to find you, to quietly learn about you, to discover how helpful and amazing your products are. But then we're going to use other more nurture-based channels like email marketing, maybe like Instagram stories, or places where you have a more intimate connection. Or even I knew a product seller who had a Facebook group. She went live every Friday, talked about all her new products, showed them, and she would sell out. But she created this like sort of like fan-based community that would meet her every Friday. It was fun. I think sometimes she would have like a cup of tea or coffee or a glass of wine, and she would like pull up what was listed in the shop that week. And without fail, she would sell like $50,000 of product on a Friday with a glass of wine on a live with her people who loved her. And they'd be like, oh my God, how many? Oh, she only has 20. Okay. Oh my God, I'm going to buy them all. Like that was her approach. Not what I would like to do, but different things can work for you in different ways. And that's just like acknowledging modern marketing. But also you touched into something really important about this idea of like people learn in different ways. And in 2025, if you're not acknowledging that different customers experience the world differently than you do, whether you want to label that as neurodiversity or just that, I think my background is in school psychology. So I always look at Do we have something visual? Do we have something written? Do we have something where it's audio? Do we have, because so many people are walking through the world not even realizing that I learn by actually executing and doing. I need to see how it's done, and then I'll do it myself. My husband will sit down and read a 900-page textbook and literally follow the step by step. I'm the one, like, by the time he's done the textbook, I have it up and running, and maybe something weird happened, but I learned through doing. And it's so funny when we try to do anything, because my son will be like, Daddy, here's the manual. And then they'll be talking, and then Karen will turn around and be like, oh, Mommy already has it turned on. Oh no. We bought a new juicer, and that literally is what happened.
Oh,
James was sitting at the table, and Irony was shoving a piece of like apple in there. And James was like, whoa, we need to read the manual. And I'm like, no, it's okay. Don't worry. We got it. So you have to recognize that when someone buys your product or discovers your business, your shop, your brand, they're going to experience it differently. And it's your responsibility to be sort of accessible. And the thing is that even if it's not the way that you learn, somebody's going to reach out to you and say, thank you so much. I have a hearing impairment. I have a newborn. And so I've been I've been watching your YouTube videos with just the audio. I have a long commute. I have ADHD and I need checklists, and I need, I love your Threads account. The thing is that different people learn in different ways and discover your products in different ways. And so just really leaning in and making your content accessible is just smart marketing.
Well, and I think when you think about it that way too, it makes it easier, because you don't have to come up with 9 million ideas. You can come up with 9 really great ideas, and then come up with 10 different ways to tell that.
That's really smart repurposing, right?
Exactly.
It's also, as a business owner, you do not have the capacity to, we all know that there are shops, there are brands, there's businesses out there that have really good marketing, and their product could be, not so good. And we're all kind of jealous of them, right? That they're innately really good at marketing, but there's about finding balance. If you want to be successful, scale, and grow your business, you got to figure out the marketing piece. And the marketing piece or the content piece is about your customer. So really, it just comes full loop. But sometimes we get so obsessed with our products that we forget to market our businesses. So I think it's finding ways to repurpose content to make it make sense. There's omnipresence marketing or omni-channel. Omni-channel is just when you put out the same thing everywhere. And I see a lot of people doing that. And it's just not going to result in growth that you're going to be proud of. Whereas when you could take one idea, think about, what does it look like? Pretend you're on YouTube. What is it going to look like on our Facebook page? How are we going to adjust that for our email subscribers? That is when the magic happens. Pick 2 things, right? Pick 2 things, think about what you want them to look like. And then you're buying back your time and creating sustainability in your marketing. And Pinterest is so beautiful because, people need to be able to walk away and you need to create a part of your business that drives evergreen growth and results in conversions without you constantly showing up. And I think it's great if you love marketing and you can constantly show up, but before it happens in your life where either you get sick, a loved one does, you go on vacation and you realize you're on your laptop the whole time. I remember I went to Mexico in December, and I was really proud of myself because I really limited working. We would check customer service, we'd make sure everything was going. But I saw this woman, and on her first day of vacation, she spent the whole day under an umbrella at a table, her kids and she was there it was a massive family, aunts, uncles, grandma, and they would come in and check in with her. And the saddest thing was she was there all day. And then finally I moved on, but they wanted to take a group shot. Instead of asking her to leave her laptop, they did the selfie group shot at the table with her on her laptop. And I was just I need to stage an intervention like that. If I've ever seen an intervention, I don't know her story. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure everybody has had that moment where, you forgot to send an email or there's a customer emergency. And I just hope, though, that when you think about your marketing, you can create these facets of your marketing that are driving discovery in the background. And so it might not be the best of the best growth, but it's still going to be growth for you. And Pinterest is one of those places.
Yeah. I don't think any single person listening created their business to be marketers.
Right.
I mean, I can say that pretty confidently. Maybe there's one soul out there listening that's like, hey, that's me. I like marketing. I
actually like marketing. When you reach out to us, we want to hear from you.
Yeah, give me all your secrets. But usually, especially for product businesses or, anybody, you create your business because you love to do something, or like you were saying earlier, it's a unique skill set of yours. You bring it to life and then you're like, well, shit, now I have to actually sell this thing, but I don't feel comfortable selling. I don't feel comfortable like showing off my wares all the time. So if you think about how do you like to show up as your starting point, thinking about like, okay, how do I like to show up? What are ways that I like to consume? Okay, now how are some other ways that other people could consume? Let me simplify this and just focus on those best-selling products. So you're talking about evergreen marketing. Think about your evergreen products and how you can create evergreen marketing to tie back to those products that are going to be there day in and day out, your workhorses in your product assortment, and build your content around that and leverage platforms like Pinterest that you're not going to see really fast growth. Like it's what usually like 90 days or something.
Yeah, minimum 3 to 6 months to get going. And then really the sweet spot is at the 12-month mark where you're like, okay, now it's working. And I've seen that again and again and again with product. And even artists who sell their art, I've seen that with artists who are like, oh, it's so slow. I'm not sure if it's working. And then all of a sudden it all comes together.
Yeah. It's like the goal is that the stuff that you're doing now, future you will thank you.
Yes.
If you're spending all your efforts creating a reel, tomorrow it will no longer really serve
No, I know.
you.
And no one will see it. Just to add on to that there is this like, even people who enjoy the marketing piece and maybe it's sort of like, they know, like there might be someone listening saying like, well, I know what I need to do. The thing is that, yes, you probably know what you need to do, but what will happen is you will become resentful or worse yet, burnout. And I think that I see that amongst certain business owners who are just amazing at what they do. They love their product. They understand it at such an intimate level and they love making. They love doing what they're doing. But then this resentment grows and it comes through when you feel like, oh, well, I can't work on the thing that I'm making, or I can't work on different parts of my business because I got to go create that reel. And that if I don't create reels, I'm not making sales. And I've seen it again, really with so many businesses is like, I stepped away from my Instagram stories or I stepped away from XYZ and my sales ground to a halt. I haven't made a single sale in the month of January because I took the last week of December off and the first week, and now I'm not making any money. And that really worries me. Yeah. Like, we all need parts of our business that continues to drive discovery when we aren't actively selling. And so I'm not saying it has to be Pinterest. And I know people are like, well, you're the Pinterest person. Of course you're going to say that, like that you need Pinterest. And the thing is, it's like, you don't have to love Pinterest, but you do need to have platforms that literally enable discovery of your products, of your business while you aren't working. And so if you can sit down and tell me, well, I'm going to use YouTube for that, great. I'm going to use Google and I'm going to blog or I'm going to podcast, and then I'm going to have like my products, and I'm going to have blog posts from, great. It doesn't have to be Pinterest, but I just really want people to understand is that like social media is very fragile. We're living through that time period with TikTok about to be gone in the US. Instagram is not what it used to be. And so I really just want to encourage business owners, no matter what type of business you have, physical product, digital product, whatever, a creative person who hand makes things, is that you need to invest in things that you control and you own.
I mean, that's perfectly said. Perfectly said. This is going to be airing like 2 weeks after the TikTok decision in the US. And so many people, rely on that platform for livelihood, and product brands have seen so much success on it. So it's really, I hope that by the time this airs, we still have that platform. But, if we don't, it's just a really good reminder that you don't own TikTok, you don't own Instagram, you don't even own Pinterest, but you do own your website. And so creating content on your website and then finding a way to put it on platforms that have been around for a long time, like YouTube and Pinterest, where people are searching for things, makes sense to really maximize your efforts instead of chasing the shiny object. So this conversation, I mean, I could talk to you for like 2 more hours, but I'm going to be respectful of your time. I'm like, I have other things that came to my mind, but you know what? I went through your Pin Potential course, and that's why I asked you to be on. So I'm so grateful to you for coming on here because it's incredible. And so I just would love for you to share a little bit about that, because I think everybody's next questions from listening to you just share all this information is like, okay, well now, like, how do I do this?
Yeah, sure.
Without being overwhelmed. And
you mentioned my course. So my signature offer is a Pinterest marketing course. It's so funny because I'm known as the Pinterest expert. So I have a Pinterest course. But the thing is that it's Pinterest focused, but it really focuses on marketing your business holistically and sustainably. And so your business growth, is driven by really good marketing strategy that's rooted in good content. And, Pinterest is one of our main vehicles for that, but we teach all the other aspects. So we do open the doors a few times a year. We have a wait list, and I'm about to launch, and I have the best goodies and bonuses for people on the wait list. So if you are thinking that you want to tackle Pinterest or just interested in growth marketing in general, Pin Potential is the best place to learn with me. Now, of course, I know some people are either working on a budget or just not sure. I have lots of free ways that they can learn with me, and really just follow me on social media or subscribe to my email list. So go to my website, meaganwilliamson.com, get on my email list. That is my favorite place to share my most valuable content through written format, obviously. But I also am fairly active on other platforms, and I have a few freebie guides. I run a free Pinterest growth challenge. And so if people are interested, just get on my email list and you'll hear about when my next challenge is happening. And it's pretty incredible. You spend 5 days with me. It's live. I was just going to use a term that, is from my childhood, so I'm not going to say that, but we go all out. And we go all out. We have a blast. We get results if you show up and do the work. And I find that product-based businesses tend to experience some of the biggest growth because there's so much misconception about Pinterest and their marketing. And we absolutely teach you how to get started, how to get results. And then trust me, once you start getting those results, you're going to want an expert to give you feedback, to teach you those other things. And I would love if you wanted to learn with me.
Amazing. You just over deliver so far and beyond. I mean, if you literally just do Meagan's Pinterest challenge or free Pinterest challenge, you're going to learn so much. I mean, I did your Pinterest challenge a couple years ago.
Did you?
Yeah. And I was like, I can't put one more thing on my plate right now, in terms of the course. And
of course.
I'm actually glad that I waited and went through it after when I transitioned from my product business to just working on this, because it was the right time for me. But that is I love your challenge is just so valuable.
Well, and we have people, I've run it this is my 13th time. And I had I made this joke last time that people take it multiple times. One woman raised her hand. She has taken it 10 times. And she said, she's like, I'm on a budget. She runs 3 businesses, homeschools her children. She is a jack of all trades. She's like, honestly, every time I do it, I learn something new from you. And so she is, and if you want to come learn for free, ask great questions, participate, you will get incredible results. And that's really, I know that the right people who want to extend their coaching or learn more with me, like yourself, will. But the thing is that I also know that people need to see, is this a good fit for me? Or some people don't like me. Hey, I was about to just make a joke about, balls to the walls, and I didn't.
I wish you had just said it. I almost was working out for you. I'm like, maybe she doesn't want to be.
Well, I have an 8-year-old. Okay. So I am deep in the potty humor world. I love shocking him because obviously he's like his dad. He's very oh. And then he's like, Daddy, mommy said, Anyways, mommy said is like something that comes up common in our house. And I always say, you know, I'd rather him learn that language from me than some other kid.
Yeah.
And then I tell him, do you know what that word means? And then he's like, oh, like my kid is not going to be the kid that's left out and doesn't understand. Because I was that kid growing up. I grew up with a very protective mom. I had no idea when people were saying rude things to me because I had just literally never heard them before. So I've swung the other way.
Yeah, you're like, now my kids are going to be the ones.
No, I love it. People are going to come to my house to learn. I always say, you can say those words, but that's anatomy, or that's like, you know, you don't ever body shame, you don't ever whatever.
Yeah.
But I want them to have the right words to describe things. But anyways, I digress here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
And, you know, if people have questions, reach out to me. I love chatting. I could, as someone said in the last challenge, I could talk for days. We could chat for hours. I just love chatting and hearing questions and thinking about this stuff. It's obviously why I'm now an entrepreneur and work for myself. I love figuring out problems.
Yeah. And that's you know, going through, you just give so much to all the students that go through, and you know, it just was such an amazing experience. I'm going to put all your links below. Anybody that is interested in Pinterest and marketing, and truly, it really is more than just Pinterest. So I don't say just Pinterest in a derogatory way. I mean, it's like robust, and it's really about your marketing strategy and leveraging Pinterest,
of course,
to get your amazing products out there. So
don't ever say that, because I say that where I feel like sometimes I'm like, I surprise people, right? Where they're like, oh, I thought you were just a Pinterest person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you know, I try to keep my life simple by saying Pinterest, but like when I get hired to do one-to-one work, I end up consulting on so many other things in their, like in terms of their content marketing ecosystem, website stuff, GA4, tracking, you know, there's all these other things.
I mean, to be an expert at Pinterest, you have to be an expert at marketing. And it's like, I say the same thing. I have a program called the Faire Bootcamp, and I say the same thing. It is not just about Faire, because you know, you can optimize your Faire platform and do all the things, but if you're not doing things off the platform to really nurture and get more buyers, all these, you know, it's more than just that. And I think people are surprised when they come through the Faire Bootcamp too. It's like, oh, there's more to it. It's not just this. And so that is like the same exact thing. So if you're listening and you've gone through the Faire Bootcamp, then you know, you'll also like Pin Potential. So
I love it. I'm
going to link it all out so you guys can find Meagan and connect with her. And, you know, I'm just so grateful to you for coming on and sharing so much. Of course. So much. It was awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for spending some time with me today. If you are loving the show, I would be so beyond grateful if you would rate and review the podcast and share it with one of your biz besties to help spread the word. I hope that you absolutely crush your sales this week. I'll be back to chat with you next Monday.